everyone who is watching right now. I'm Coach Abby. I'm starting up my stream now. I've been known to have some mic problems in the past, so definitely type in chat if you see me struggling with the mic or if it sounds like I'm in a wind tunnel or something. Um, Still getting used to this whole streaming thing. Oh, thank you. But yeah, so today's plan is to basically just hop right onto Summoner's Rift and play in the bot lane. Hopefully ADC, that's the plan. If I get autofilled or secondary pick to support, that works out too, because I just want to go over some tips and tricks in the bot lane. So I'll just queue up right now. But yeah, so if anyone in the chat ever wants to suggest an ADC to play, or if I get support to play, I'd be happy to choose what you suggest. Other than that, I'm a huge fan of playing Kai'Sa, especially now because she's super powerful. Even with her recent nerf, her Q just does so much damage. So really, she's kind of a pick or ban at this point. So if I don't get any suggestions, I may play Kai'Sa just because she's so tempting. But yeah, so today I'm just gonna do a basic overview rather than getting into anything too specific. But in the future, I do plan on maybe duoing with a nice support player to discuss our communication techniques. Maybe I'll go over a warding stream and where it's good to ward if you're playing ADC versus support. Other streams may include CSing, what I do to practice my CSing. But for now, I'm just going to go over the basics. Let's see. Definitely Kai'Sa, and then ban. See, banning is always difficult for me. I never know quite who to ban. I like to ban Senna. Though a patch is coming out with her nerf. Don't know if that has gone through. I am going to mute chat. Something that I always tell my players is always just mute all, especially if you're in ranked. You can keep your team chat on, but the moment it starts getting toxic, I just suggest muting it. It's not going to do you any favors. I'm hesitant on saying mute pings as well, because pings can be helpful if you cannot type to your team. But the moment it starts getting toxic, you start getting pinged over and over again, I would definitely just mute it and try your best. I always get lost in the settings. There we go. Since it's just a normal game, I'm totally okay with just kind of shutting down my chat. Just in case, you never know what someone's going to say. And I think that's the risk of all online games. I like the Rel pick. Since I'm playing Kai'Sa for the stream, I'll kind of focus on tips and tricks I have for her. Any support that has a CC, Rel is really good just because of the synergy with her ult. And I like to tell my players who do choose to play Kai'Sa, her ult isn't always going to be for aggression. It's actually really good for escaping. So if you have a tank support like Rel, who can CC an enemy if you're getting dove on and they're ahead, she's great for it's like a free flash, essentially, just R'ing further away from the fight while she peels for you. On the other hand, supports like Morgana are super good for engaging because she has that long range CC that you can then jump onto. But it's all about situational awareness. Definitely, though, I prefer Kai'Sa's ult for being aggressive just because how powerful her Q is right now. But don't be afraid. I like to tell my students that a cooldown is a cooldown. So you're not necessarily ever going to waste it, right? Because it will come back eventually. Especially if you're a new player, you shouldn't be nervous about that. You rather use a cooldown than die and give the other team gold. So if you have to ult to get away, then that's totally fine. It happens to the best of us. Now let me know. I've also had trouble with capturing full screen applications, just OBS things. But it looks, I'm looking at the stream on my second monitor and it looks like it's capturing just fine, so. Also, if you're curious, anyone, there's very, very faint music in the background. It's actually the Riot Creator Safe playlist, so if you players or coaches that are watching ever want to stream League of Legends and need a little bit of background music just to hide some like background noise, this Riot Safe playlist won't get you copyright striked at all, and it's actually good music. Like the Riot Pentakill band is part of it, so it's actually. That's less of League advice and more of just general streaming advice, but it's actually pretty great music. But that's another thing too, just on the subject of music, is I wouldn't listen to music when you play. And I know that's controversial. Some of my players don't really like my policy of no music while you play, but I find it does distract you, especially when you want to be in full focus. And when you're on a team, you want to hear their call-outs and not the singer's voice, so. Similarly, when you're playing Kai'Sa or even a Caitlyn character, I like to leash until you get your stack, and I usually stay for a stack in norms. When I'm playing Caitlyn, I'll headshot the buff for my jungler. In ranked, I would save the headshot to poke in lane. But with Kai'Sa, since you can't just carry over the stack, I would just help my jungler out by completing the stack and getting that extra damage off on the buff. It's been a while since I've played against a Bard, so this should be a fun game. We'll have to take advantage, me and Rel, of when Bard roams for his chimes, especially in the early game before Vayne gets her Vampiric Scepter, which is kind of her power spike. Okay, that was a heal and a flash from them. I think we win this trade. They got away. That's okay. So what happened there is we definitely have the early game damage, especially with Vayne. She didn't get her stacks, or her triple stacks off on me, so me and Rel ended up doing more damage to them. And that's another thing too, like, it's super okay to be aggressive in the early game if you have an escape plan, and having Rel, I know I have a super reliable escape plan with her almost guaranteed CC of having her between me and them. Where Bard CC is a little less guaranteed, seeing as it's a skill shot with his Q. I'm gonna back off and let her clear these minions. One thing to note is we see Kha'Zix coming bot side, so I feel okay with putting a ward here, because we know he's in bot river anyway. If we saw him top side, I wouldn't have placed a ward down. I'm gonna go up and help the jungler. One of the issues here is our communication between the jungle and me. He ended up doing Gromp instead of turning on them, even though I had ping to go in, which is fine. That's just simple mistake happens. Victor cleaning up. I don't know if he'll kill. Yeah. That was just a little bit of a mistake, miscommunication that happens all the time. But you could see, I was playing on locked camera, but you could see in the corner that Viego was doing Gromp instead of turning. If I was in a call with him, it would have been much easier to say, hey, I'm coming up to support you, I know you're getting chased. Pings don't always get the message through. Unfortunately, the Vayne got a kill, so that makes her pretty far ahead of me, gold-wise, but I am ahead of her in CS, so I don't have to worry too much, especially because I think I get this wave pretty cleanly. It's right in the perfect position where it's not under tower, so I don't have to worry about tower shots taking them. Rell also has 3 stacks if I'm ever about to miss one. She also can get cannon for herself and me. Volibear's doing very good for himself in the top lane. I'm gonna guess she comes back with Vampiric. I'm not sure how much gold that gave her. No, she went Noon Quiver first. Again, we don't know where the Kha'Zix is. Think I would be, yeah, he's on Dragon, so I'm gonna back off. Yeah, we're fine. Luckily, we had that really good deep ward in the Dragon Pit, so we could see that Kha'Zix was setting up for a gank. With all junglers, those wards that are deep are super important. Especially the ones that have speed on you, or invisibility that is over time. So deep wards can help against Evelynn, but since she's perma invis unless she hits a camp, it's better to have deep wards in their jungle for her, so you can see her taking camp before she goes invisible. On the other hand, you know, deep wards in river are important if you want to see a Master Yi who's about to ult into your lane super quick. A Lilia who's super fast and can get into lane quickly. It looks like Viego is hanging out by Dragon. Not sure if he wants to gank or not. He hasn't pinged. See, the Vayne here is doing a really good job of focusing me. The Vayne did a super good job about focusing me since I'm the ADC. She wants to get my damage out of the way, and Bard was up against our Rell. If I were in a call with Rell, I would say simply turn on the Vayne. But again, that's hard to communicate when you're not actually playing together. It's also important to note that since we're behind, I wouldn't have wanted the Rell to take the fight if I could talk to her. The Vayne will just do so much damage, especially because, you know, she's known as a tank killer, and Rell is a tank. She's ulting. I think she dies. Yeah, she does. Okay, not bad. Not bad at all for me. I get her shut down. I did flash. Again, like, this is exactly like I was talking about earlier. It's try your best to use your cooldowns if you think you'll survive. It's not necessarily wasted if you survive. And I'm not sure, I wouldn't call that wasted by me either. Simply because I did get the kill on her, and by flashing further under tower, it caused her to take those 2 tower shots, which got me the kill on her. I am also still ahead of her on CS, which is really good. Popping down a control ward there just in case they have vision. Kha'Zix is here. Yeah, Kha'Zix is hanging out outside quite a bit. Rell was in an unoptimal position, but I don't think that was necessarily her fault. We didn't see Kha'Zix coming, so how was she to know? Viego is in trouble, but I'm stuck under tower. I don't think I'll get there in time to help him. I could take this. Yeah. They're going mid lane, but also they're probably going to do dragon. They're probably looking for Viktor before they started, but they see that Viktor's under tower, so they're just going to do dragon instead. I can't really contest. Yeah. Something also that is always worth a try is stealing if you have the range to steal, like a Caitlyn Q or Kai'Sa W. It's always worth it, and especially if you end up pulling it off, it feels super good to have gotten the steal. But if it's putting your life in danger, if you can only steal by being close, then I never suggest to do it unless it's a game-changing dragon, like their soul. I would say the jungler can go in. That was a really good stun by Bard. I'm not going to keep going. I'm not going to chase. Again, we're not sure where Kha'Zix is. I'll drop a ward here. They have a control ward there, but I'm not going to stick around. Nice. Yeah, couldn't, the invisibility really is messy. Like, characters that go invisible is super hard to fight as Kai'Sa, simply because your Q will just then go to, like, you know, minions or whatever's closest. But in general, auto attacks. An ADC, a character that relies on auto attacks rather than, you know, like area of effect. Invis champions are super hard to deal with. However, I did get that double kill, which is super good for us. Shut down the Vayne, got some extra gold from that. I think I also got shut down off of Bard. Let me check the chat. Yeah, I got 2 shutdowns. So super good for me. Would have been even better for the triple, but, you know, he's 7-0, so not much fighting we can do there. Interestingly, the Bard mid lane is doing pretty good, or the Blitz mid lane, excuse me. I do have my ult again. He's bought again, so he is camping, which makes sense. I'm a Kai'Sa, so I scale quite well, so if he can keep me suppressed and not scaling, then that totally makes sense. I can see where that jungler's line of thinking is. Ooh, that was really good. I tried to ult onto the Bard, but her CC got me just in time. Unfortunately, she doesn't die there either. Viego, can you get this? He should take Vayne, yeah, get unstoppable, and then go onto her hair. Nice, he might be able to get, no. I was thinking maybe he could get the triple, but, Blitz got him just at the nick of time, got there. If he had more time to then get, unstoppable and take over Bard's body, I think he could have done it. Viego's a super strong champion in the right hands. I always enjoy having them on my team and dislike when they're on the enemy team because you know they're going to get a combo off eventually and ace your team. I'm going to place a control ward down just because we know now at this point that Kha'Zix is not going to leave us alone. Yeah. Like I was saying, Kha'Zix is camping bot, so it's a bit unfortunate that I'm put in this situation. Volibear's doing good. I think if we could get a team fight going where we're all together and we're not getting those um, isolation for Kha'Zix to kill us, I think we'd be better off. So team fights we may do better. I am getting a little bit of lag, which you may be able to see in my stream. Another thing is I never like to surrender, especially during the first surrender vote they put out, just because you never know what can happen. Yeah. We definitely shouldn't have gone in there. And I mean, to be honest, we didn't go in, or I didn't. Rel's just being a bit too aggressive, especially when they're so far ahead of us. Alright. I think, unfortunately, Volibear dies here. Oh, he gets the shield, though. This Volibear is very good. Yeah, this Volibear is super good. He knew that he could kite and then go back into his shield. And he knows that Kha'Zix will try to avoid the shield because it does damage if it hits an enemy. So he knew he would be safe to pick up that shield from them. They are all top, so I'm gonna go bot actually. I simply can't help in the top lane right now. And since we know they're top, we might as well push bot as hard as we can, since I won't be contested if I do so. Blitzcrank might come down, but... Unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to be operating at 150, 200, 300 ping. Hopefully this clears itself up, but... I'm just going to run away from that. Yeah, this ping is super not good to deal with. Got all the way up to 1,000, so I'm surprised I survived that with the ping, but Rel saved my life for sure. There's definitely no shame in running away. I think that's something that a lot of League players let get to them is they get an item and then they want to prove themselves. But there's no shame in just surviving. The longer you survive, the less gold the enemy team will get from you. Bot lane. Exactly. We were waiting for that moment, that whole game. Waiting for their mistake. Victor's going bot lane, so I'll stay here, get more farm. But yeah, like I said, that's why I don't surrender, because sometimes there's always the chance of a mistake happening that you can capitalize on. Uh, so super close to there. Um, I like this is personal preference. Also depending on the game, whether you get collector or runins first on Kaisa. I like getting runins when I'm behind because of the ease of farming that it allows. Since you can get so much more, CS bang for your buck when you hit Q. Also, in hindsight, I probably should have gone Immortal Shield Bow just for the survivability. Um, but it's always hindsight. We definitely want to be setting up on drag. It's in 14 seconds and it would be their third dragon. Volibear has teleport, so it's totally okay that he's topside. I'm gonna set a W to just check, see if anyone's standing around. Kha'Zix's definitely gonna chase me. I'm alone, so I'm prime prey for him. I do get away. Like I was saying, in the realm of team fights, we definitely win. I do have heal now. See, that was really good. We were able to play around the isolation of Kha'Zix because we were grouped together. The grouping is also difficult because they have a character where it's like don't group, and then they have a character that's like group up or he'll kill you. Because the bard ulted two of us there. Luckily, it almost saved us rather than made us worse because we were able to hold off on sustaining damage. Where I think it was the Rel who was out of the ult, and she's a tank anyway, so they couldn't pop her. Poor Victor got a bit caught out, but that's totally okay. Viego's going top to defend that tower. I'm not sure he saves it. He does, actually, I think. Yeah, we're gonna have to stand back and let them take this inhib. Or at least inhib tower. Yeah, that's my bad. I definitely made the wrong call by going through the tunnel when I knew Vayne was there. Luckily, Viego's doing pretty good at catching up. He's a good champion that can catch up fairly easily, especially when he manages to kill a Fed player. Um, that's I know a controversial thing about him is he can be so behind and then, happen to kill a Fed player in a team fight, and then he, becomes that character and gets all their items, and then, can be, just kill everyone from there. I know some people get really frustrated with that mechanic. I think it's actually really cool. And it's also a reason not to FF with a Viego on your team. You can, have the chance of coming back from being so behind if you allow for a Viego to get the kill shot on someone. I'm gonna see. As an ADC, you also want to go where you can get farm, especially when you're behind. But right now, our waves are in dangerous positions for me to be like pushing up and grabbing farm. I'll take this red buff. I need to go back and get my blue ward so I can ward far away from where I am, just so I don't face check bushes anymore. It might be too late. They might be already doing Baron, which, that's another thing I hear support players talk about all the time is, they back, and they are so focused on getting on lane, they totally forget to get an Oracle Lens. Same thing happens as ADC when you're wanting to buy a blue ward. Nice. That was actually really good. The enemy team should have backed and reset with all their gold that they are ahead on. Instead now, Volibear, actually he might die here because of the minions. Does he die to the minions? He does, that's unfortunate. Super powered minions, everyone. But yeah, they got Baron and then didn't do anything with it. It would have been better if we could have gotten Baron and done something with it, but all in all, can't be super upset with that outcome. Another thing to note when you feel like just so behind and sad is that if the enemy team just kind of stalls and isn't really doing anything, you can just farm up super minions and catch up in gold. And that's why when you're ahead, you want to end as soon as possible rather than drag it on, just because the enemy team gets so much value out of these big super minions. I would back off. Yeah, back off. Play safe. Their Vayne is 18 and 5, so she's super far ahead of me. Can I buy anything? Actually, I can't, so I'm not gonna go there. It looks like they just caught someone out. Yeah, good job, everyone. Really good job. And that's how how you have to play it when you're behind, is farm minions and wait for them to make a mistake. One of the best skills in League of Legends isn't even necessarily mechanics, but knowing when to strike, which I guess you could argue that's a mechanic. Knowing when you can take a fight and when you really shouldn't be doing it. See, that was a really good fight for us. Unfortunately, Viego went a little too far ahead, but that was a good fight because we knew we had killed the Sylas, so he wouldn't be involved in that fight. Victor is going to back to deal with them. I suppose since I won't have anyone to stay, it looks like we're all backing off, which is a valid plan. We got to spend the gold we just made. We don't know if Victor can fight him alone. Doesn't appear to be able to, so it's a good thing Volibear backed as well. I'm stepping really far back to back as well. I don't want the Blitzcrank to hook me. I can buy my collector, which will put me in a good position. Yep, I'm in a really good position now. Vayne's bot side, she's a huge team fight carry, so if we can get another fight without her in it, that would be super good for us. Unfortunately, Sylas did end up getting that that inhib, so it means we have super minions to deal with in side lanes. And one misconception is losing mid lane is like end of the game, like because they can just siege. But actually, losing side lanes is even harder because it forces your team to split up and have to cover those side lanes and not take as efficient team fights. So although it feels weird, it's honestly better to lose mid lane. Also, I did just get a ring on the doorbell, so I will have to take a second to check on that, which is inconvenient, especially at a time where we're about to lose. Alright, I'm back. Unfortunately, it looks like the doorbell lost us the game, which, you know, is too bad. That's another thing, too, which actually my players have been dealing with for such a long time now, given the current worldly situation. Is just, like, accepting that things happen in life, especially when you're playing from home, that you seriously can't control. A lot of my players, as this game is ending, I'll just explain my thought process. And actually, you know, the doorbell ringing in my stream is a really good example of something, one of our connected camps values, which is that, like, we're all human, and especially now when we're working from home, we can't control the environment we play in. And it's really unfortunate. I know a lot of my players have to deal with, like, maybe siblings walking into their room and distracting them, or, you know, dinner's ready, so their mom's yelling at them to come down. And it can be really distracting and tilting for a player when they have to leave a game to deal with these outside distractions. But it happens to all of us, and I think that's something that's really important to remember. And as a coach who just had an outside distraction happen, I think that's a good example. Like, no one's immune, especially now during, you know, quarantine times. But yeah, so that was that game. I don't super have time for another one, so maybe I'll hop into an ARAM, just to finish off the stream on a high note. If anyone has any questions about how that game went, while we're queuing, I can actually look at the match history, if it will show up. There we go. Look at the graphs. Yep. This makes sense. Stats. Something that I like to tell my players is always look at the graphs after a game and just absorb the information that it gives you. I'm definitely super not a math person, like whatsoever. But these the League of Legends graphs, the visual of a graph is really helpful for me to absorb information, especially the damage ones. I do need to look up some Lilia runes really quick because I don't actually know them. As a ADC main, I hardly get the chance to play jungle. Luckily, you know, this is ARAM's teamfight simulator, so I won't have to be actually jungling or smiting anything. I'll take barrier, so I can go in, pop some people with my Q, and then go out and survive. We have a pretty good team comp for ARAM. And I know I called ARAM a little fun way to end the stream, and ARAM is always fun, but I also tell my players that ARAM's a good way to practice just, team fights. And team comp has so much to do with team fights, but even with these randomized team compositions, you can still work on calling out, oh, let's focus the squishy character. So in this case, we should probably be saying, let's focus Draven, because Draven is their ADC, so he's their damage, and he also happens to be one of the squishiest people. And maybe we say last, don't touch the Cho'Gath until everyone else is dead, because he is their tank. He is going Arcane Comet, so he may be going AP Cho'Gath, which will be really fun to play against. We have a pretty good team comp because we have a tank on our team, and a lot of ARAM teams don't get the ability to have a tank just because of how randomized it is. But having a tank in a team fight is super helpful, and it's why when you're playing a Summoner's Rift game, you should always encourage at least one lane or jungler to take a tank character. They're just so good at absorbing damage. Alright. This is also new. I guess this is part of the patch. When you buy something, it automatically gives you some potions. I think I'll do this first. Not sure if I'm going Liandry's yet. I'll see how the game goes. I'm looking at our team comp now, and it seems we have a pretty good team fight ahead of us. We have 2 damage dealers, 3 damage dealers, a tank, and me with the CC. Ashe with the CC too, so we have a pretty good team fight. Especially Amundo being so good at absorbing damage and then being able to just step right out of that fight. But it will take us a while to get to that point. Where Mundo can take damage and then just walk away from it. So we definitely have to be patient. We scale harder than them, I think, with the Jinx especially. We'll scale harder, so we gotta be patient. I wonder what Kane's gonna go. It looks like Kane's gonna go red, so that means they have 2.5 tanks, with Alawi being a bruiser. Okay. I'm just gonna try to keep farming to harvest stacks until I'm powerful enough to jump in. I used my barrier, so jumping in with Q, or W, excuse me, isn't a good idea until I have that back, or I have an item. Luckily, this escape mode kind of rewards dying, so it's not too bad. I'm not sure I would survive that, but I'm gonna try to get them to rally over here to get the health pack. Hopefully I hit the Corki. It looks like it. My art is ready. Might have for a good chance to pop it when my team is ready to follow up. I'll sleep him under tower. Get the confirmed kill on him. Definitely getting Liandry's extra damage is always fun. Ooh, we do pretty good damage, it's just the finishing off that we're not completely getting. Jinx hasn't died yet, so that can explain our lack of damage. She's just not able to finish them off without items. She did just die though, so she should get some items that will help her out. Yeah, perfect. Perfect, perfect. We're getting good damage off on the tower. But just like us, they will die and come back stronger, so we just have to be prepared for that. I think Mundo can start taking a few more hits now, surviving longer, so. He healed. Corki healed. Just getting a little bit of poke damage off. Running in and out and in and out. Uh-oh. That's alright. Not a bad fight at all, really. I think I'm going to go Zhonya's next, just for the Kayn and Draven. Aram is also, it's good to just, you know, kind of end a practice on in general. It lets you have fun while still, you know, learning a bit about team fights. It's hard, again, when you can't communicate really with your team unless you're doing it through pings, but it's just so much fun. I also like Urf, just to change things up. Urf and ARAM, or the one that mixes the two, is always fun to learn new champions. That's something too that in physical sports, um, my I used to play field hockey, and my coach always said, in the spring, you have the option to do a field hockey club, like outside of the school, but I suggest you do a different sport like tennis or soccer or lacrosse. And that's like, wait, but that doesn't make sense. Don't you want us to be practicing field hockey all of the time so we get better at it? But it's actually that diversity in gameplay that doesn't let you get burnt out on one champion or one role. Which is why, like, if you're an ADC main, um, you play ADC in ranked and stuff, but let norms and, ARAMs be the place where you get to explore and diversify your character pool. Not only will it help you when you get auto-filled in a ranked game, but it also will keep you from getting burnt out. And it's also good for understanding the perspective of the other lanes, because I know, like, playing jungle will help you realize in moments where it's like, oh, why didn't the jungle help me? But then you realize, oh, the jungle didn't help me because XYZ. Turns out that this means he can't help me in this situation. So yeah, playing a different role or different champions just keeps you from getting burnt out and also makes you realize the limitations of those champions. So overall, it makes you get less tilted. Um, Playing one champion over and over again, and then you start to get tilted because you're like, wait, but I'm supposed to be really good. I've been training on this champion for hours. But everyone has off days when they simply can't play that champion. And when you're having one of those off days and you realize it, it's totally okay to take a break. Unfortunately, this Kayn is running amok in our base. I want to hold my ult until I either get Draven or more than one person. That was pretty good. Hopefully Mundo can clean up what we did. I think he can. Um, his lifesteal is just insane. Dang it. I wish he had gotten a pentakill. It's always fun to hear the announcer say pentakill. Unless it's on the enemy team, of course. Then it's like, oh no. But I like the camaraderie when you're playing, and especially in an ARAM, because people take it less seriously when the enemy team says good job after you get a pentakill. That's something I like about this community is, when we see a pentakill, you just have to clap no matter what team you're on. I got a bit caught out there by the Corki cutting me off from the rest of my team. That's alright though. They may end here if Mundo can't hold him off. He's taking so much damage. but he's surviving because he's Mundo. That was really good. He distracted them for long enough where only Kayn was hitting the inhibitor, so it allowed time for us to respawn, which sometimes the best thing to do is just distract the enemy team and give yourself time, give your teammates a time to respawn, rather than dying all at once. Unfortunately, that does mean he's staggered, which just means we play safe. But you know, it's better to be forced to play safe down a member than having them end the game. Someone's in this bush, I think. So I'll ping it to let them know. Yeah, they're in the other bush. That was a really good team fight. We were patient, and waited for the sleep to go through. I wouldn't be surprised if he caught me with something here. Oh, he dies instead. That's awesome. I think, who is up? Cho'Gath and Kayn and Draven, and then Malawi. Kayn will probably come and one-shot me because he's blue Kayn instead of red Kayn, which I thought he was gonna go. I think he's faster than me in general, or maybe not. Alright, this might be our last stand, especially since I'm starting with such low health. Oh, never mind. That's alright, I died so I could get an item. How about... I'll go anti-healing first before I do anything else. The Alawi and Kayn are kind of scary with their healing ability. Oh, that reminds me, that's another stream in the future I could do, is an itemization stream, just talking about what's best to buy against what comp you're against. And you know, it would be different every time, since when you go into a normal, you know, not everyone's going to be playing the same champions every time. That'd be a very interesting stream to do, and fun too. One of my favorite parts of League is deciding what to buy. Just the different combos you can get. You really like this content? Thank you! Oh! I died! I died! I got distracted. Oh, wow. Coach Savvy, you distracted me. Wow. No, thank you. I think we definitely still have a chance of winning. Like, they were beating us pretty hard in the early game, but like I said at the very beginning of this ARAM, just waiting for the Jinx to scale, especially, and the Mundo to to scale, so he could tank the damage for us. It's okay. I don't blame you. I knew the blue cane was alive too, and I had pushed up a bit too far, I'd say. Yeah, I think my team is also pushing up too far, having me be dead and all. I'm sorry, Heimerdinger, I'm backing off. I'm gonna try to take this heal so they can't use it. Allow is coming up pretty quickly. I'll take this heal too so they can't use it. Luckily I have super minions on my side and Jinx is up pretty soon. Yep. This is a very close ARAM. Usually it's not as close as this because of the randomized characters that you get. Sometimes teams get absolutely stacked, and it really is down to team composition. Nice, I think we can go in off of that for sure. Nice! Good job, team, honestly. Ooh, that was a really good Ashe arrow, too. Good job, everyone, all around. See, those are the moments where you wish you're in a 5-stack so they can hear you going like, good job, but... I think we're doing a really good job on focusing champions. I think in that situation, I jumped in on Alawi a little too aggressively. She naturally, you know, has lifesteal and lives for such a long time that I probably could have aimed for the Corki rather than jumping into her tentacle ult, but other than that, we're having some pretty good decision making when it comes to who to kill and when. Which again is like one of the main things in a team fight, right? We also, I noticed, use bushes pretty effectively in quite a few of these teams' fights. Fortunately, it looks like they have the upper hand here with the health and team difference. They have just more champions than we do. Ooh! Well, that was a good game, though. That was one of the more fun ARAMs I've played in a while. When it's close and you keep coming back from being behind, that's definitely one of the most fun games. That's also why I tell my teams, especially, not to surrender, is that you have those comeback moments that just feel so good that even in the end, if you get defeated, you realize that you tried your best and you played the whole game out, and that's what it's all about. I'm gonna give it to... How about I give it to the Jinx? I'll give it to her for helping and do the damage to them. But yeah, that was my League of Legends stream. I was only going to stream for an hour and I'm 6 minutes over. But next time we'll definitely have a more, we'll come in with a more specific plan and we'll have hopefully more requests in the chat for things for me to do, like ADCs or supports to play. Hopefully you learned a little about the basics. That just kind of what goes through my mind when I'm playing in the bot lane. I think most notably this session I talked a lot about just mindset, not giving up, which I'm glad we didn't FF in either game that I played, so that felt really good. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you, and I look forward to streaming for Connected Camps again.